welcome back to my channel Ujima Flip Books. If you're new here, my name is Jo and I am a crime fiction, Nordic noir, thriller, mystery, those kind of books reader from the UK. And this is the first time I've posted in a very long time. It's probably about a month actually since the last video that was on this channel. I kind of decided, with about 4 hours left of the bank holiday in April, so the Easter Monday, I basically decided to rearrange my office, which I appreciate from like the perspective of this video looks absolutely no different because the kallax that I sit on behind, with like the geometric wall behind me, has not changed position, but everything else in the office has. And in doing so with like 4 hours left of the bank holiday, I sort of started it very quickly, decided that I regretted every decision that I was making, and then realised I needed to be able to work the next day, so I just had to dump everything into like this corner, and yeah, it's basically taken me a month to sort out my office, which was a perfectly functioning office, before I decided randomly to rearrange it. Yeah, not my brightest moment, shall we say. So yeah, apologies that there's been no videos, but I mean, I don't even think I've got 50 subscribers, so I don't think there's going to be like that many people have noticed. And maybe once this video goes up, there'll be people who'll be like, I don't know why I'm subscribed to this channel. My subscriber numbers will go down. But yeah, I am back. I have space that I can actually film videos in again. So expect an awful lot of book reviews, because shockingly, I actually got through quite a lot of books in April. Did I get through the 11 that I was planning on? I think it was 11. No, I didn't get through all of them, but I did get through a huge chunk of them, which is a massive improvement on usual, so I'm taking that as a win. I realised that every time I do a this is what I'm aiming to read, I kind of start with here's all the things I didn't read and what's rolling over, and it's going to get a point where, I mean, it's probably already past that point, where people are just like, we don't care, Jo, clearly you're never actually meeting the goals that you set yourself reading wise. So I'm not going to tell you which ones I didn't read. You'll just find out as and when the reviews come up. In fact, you could probably check my Goodreads, though I'm not great at keeping Goodreads up to date. I mainly use Notion for sort of an overly complicated recording system for books, which includes like colour coding for what country the author is from and all sorts, because I like data. Yeah. If anyone's interested, would that be an interesting video? Would anyone care about my overly complicated Notion? Let me know down below. Anyway, on to the actual purpose of this video, which is the books I aim to read in May. I will caveat and say there are 3 bank holidays in the UK, one of which we've already had, and I have an entire week off work which I will be dedicating purely to Eurovision, because I am obsessed with Eurovision, to the point where I think my husband may actually divorce me, because that is all I talk about at the minute, is which acts are performing in the Eurovision village. And if you don't know what Eurovision is, slap it into Google. It's brilliant, and I'm very excited because it's in my home city. So yeah, there's going to be a week where I'm going to spend a fair bit of time on trains, but I'm also not going to be taking any books with me, because I'm literally just taking a bum bag or a fanny pack, if there's any Americans that watch me. I don't know why we have different names for that. There's something for me to Google afterwards. Yeah, I'm not taking books with me, but there will be some downtime in between the different Eurovision events that we're going to, so you know, I'm not going to have to be getting up as early to get ready for work. Instead, I'm going to be able to lounge about in bed a bit and read. So I've got a mighty big list that I'm going to try and get through. There is a very heavy focus, I would say, on Nordic authors in this month. particularly Icelandic. Yeah, we've got 3 Icelandic authors, a Swedish and a Norwegian, which I'm going to start with. So the first book, though not necessarily the first book I will read, just the first book I'm telling you, is Jo Nesbø, Cockroaches. Somebody commented on one of my videos, and apologies, I don't have my phone near me to be able to go and check the name. I will pop it up somewhere on the screen now. They commented saying, had I read any Jo Nesbø books? I have read exactly 1 Jo Nesbø book, and it was the first one in the Harry Hole series. However, I have got the first 6 or 7 literally sat waiting to be read, and I don't know why I haven't got round to reading them. So that comment sort of prompted me to go, yeah, that's a really good point. I really enjoyed the first one, which I believe people say is the first and second are quite hard to get into, and after that they flow a lot nicer. So I feel like if I enjoyed the first one, I'm onto a winner. Yeah, so Cockroaches. I am also hoping, Jo Nesbø is doing a book tour in the UK, and the day he is on near to me, so he's in Waterstones in Liverpool, I'm supposed to be in the office for work. Now, my office for work is in Birmingham, which is like a 2-hour drive for me, so I can't finish work and get back to see him unless I move a lot of my meetings around and take the afternoon off work, which I'm trying to do because I would really like to go to his talk. So I'm hoping I can get to it, and if I do, I will film some bits. I have also got another book evening. I don't know if that's in June though. Again, not got my phone with me, so I can't check, but I know that Jo Nesbø is definitely in May in Liverpool, and yeah, I would like to go. So I feel bad going if I've only read the first book, and probably still feel bad if I'm going if I've only read the second as well, but you know, we'll go with it. It's better than having only read 1. Next up is the first of the Icelandic authors for the month, and it is Last Rituals by Issa Sigurdardóttir. I have got the first 3 books that she's done. Not read any of them. I just went through a spell of thinking, I can't just buy 1 book by an author, because what if that 1 book isn't really representative of, you know, how the story develops and things. My thinking for this is Kathy Reichs used to be one of my favourite authors. I think the first couple of books that she did, absolutely brilliant. By the time of her later books, I feel like she was influenced too much by the TV show Bones, and the character of Temperance Brennan in her books switched to be more like the Temperance Brennan from the TV show, and I didn't enjoy it as much. I did enjoy the TV show Bones, but not as a an adaptation of the book. I just enjoyed it in its own right, if that makes sense. So yeah, anyway, where I was going with this, I went through a spell of where I would buy the first 3 or 4 books of an author if they had a series or multiple books out, because I thought if I get through the first 3 or 4 and I'm not enjoying it, then I can confidently say that that's not an author for me. Problem is, I bought multiple books by authors and never read the first one, the second one, the third one. In the case of Jo Nesbø, up to book 6. Yeah, it's a great theoretical practice, not so much. So yeah, Issa Sigurdardóttir, Last Rituals. Do you know what the daft thing is? When I read the back of it, I'm like, oh, I really want to read this. So why didn't I? The next Icelandic author for the month is Arnaldur Iðarsson, and it's Silence of the Grave. This is the second book in, I want to say something like Reykjavik Nights is the series. I could have just totally made that up. I've read Jar City, which is the first book that he did, and it was so good. And again, just sat there waiting to be read. In fact, this is another book that I have multiple copies of because I bought it for myself and then I think I got it as a gift. I may have purchased it for myself multiple times, to be perfectly honest. This was the days before I started using Notion, and purchasing multiple copies of books is the reason why I started using Notion. A book now that I have had, I think I picked it up as an airport read, possibly back in 2019. Let's see what date is in it actually. Ooh, this paperback edition published in 2018. Yeah, so maybe it was 2018 I picked it up in the airport. Friend request by Laura Marshall. It was one of them. I think I had read my book on the way out to wherever we were going, and this was available on the way back, and I just picked it up and went, that'll do, with something to read on the plane, and then didn't read it. And it's probably been on multiple holidays since, because I'm one of those people who packs like a couple of books for the plane, but then I also book a few books in my suitcase because I need like the ones to read by the pool, the ones for the journey home. So this could have cracked up a fair few air miles. Yeah, I'm sure everyone has read it given that it's 2018, but it's basically just gone through and looked at what books have been on my shelf for absolutely ages and gone, right, you're the one that I'll be reading. I have multiple places that I keep to be read books, so I have some on a shelf, a few on bookcases, some in a Kallax pull-out drawer. Yeah, they're just sort of dotted all over the place. So usually what I do to pick for the month is I just decide which pile I'm going to select from, and then I only pick books from that selection. Evidently there was a lot of Nordic authors and Nordic noir, which is why that's what the majority of the books are this month. Anyway, carrying on. Confessions of a Sociopath by M.E. Thomas. Not really a lot to say about this. It's just one of those, it looked interesting, so I picked it up. Never got round to reading it. The book that is making a reappearance on my reading list is Snare by Lilja Sigurðardóttir. I think I've mentioned, I think in March when this was on my list, I have multiple copies of this because I bought it for myself, people bought it for me, which means that this is a different copy to the one that I intended to read back in March, or was it April that I tended to read it? Anyway, so because I've got multiple copies, I keep them in different to be read piles, as you do. So yeah, this is a different copy to the one that I was previously going to read. But one day I will have read at least one version of it, and Cameron, if you're watching, I will probably be sending you the other versions that I've got. Next up is the book that I think I'm going to start with May for my reading, and it is Swal and Walu. Apologies to any people who speak Swedish, I don't, and so I'm just butchering names, but this is The Man on the Balcony. So this is a Martin Beck book, or part of the Martin Beck series. The authors are basically, I think, were like Scandi crime started, and I have read, I think it's called, is it Rosanna? Let's have a look in the cover, I'm sure it's called Rosanna. Rosanna. I've read Rosanna. I really loved it. It was so good. But when I read it, we're talking over 10 years ago, and I never read the next book. I bought it, I just didn't read it. This copy, it says, was published in 2016. So yeah, that's probably about right, because I think I basically I got Rosanna, read it, and then immediately went and bought every single book that they had in Waterstones, and this is the next one, but again, they're all just sat there waiting to be read. And then another two random ones, we have a Linwood Barclay one of A Noise Downstairs. This was one I actually picked up in the middle of Lidl, because everyone loves a random purchase from the middle of Lidl. I could have gone with a scuba set, and instead I picked up a book. I've said before about Linwood Barclay being a bit Marmite for me. I feel like I have read parts of this before. Maybe I haven't, and it's just a similar named book that I've read. I'm not sure. I feel like I went through a spell where I would read a lot on Kindle. Shout out to my husband for accidentally stepping on my Kindle and breaking it, and now we have to go back to the paper format because I've decided that I like dead trees rather than Kindle. Mainly because of the new Kindles hurt my eyes, whereas the old ones don't. So, yeah. Anyway, this video is very full of tangents. Sorry about that. This is what you get for me filming after I've been in a training course all day where I've literally spoken to no one, and now the camera is the first, like, person. It's not a person, but it's the first, like, interaction I've had all day, and so I'm just all about the tangents. Yeah, I feel like when I had my Kindle, I read a short story that was called A Noise Downstairs, and it was by Linwood Barclay. But that is clearly not a short story. Does it say anything about when it was published? Is it based on a short story? No, this was published 2019, and my Kindle died in 2012. So I feel like it wouldn't have sat on a short story for that long if there was more to it, so maybe it wasn't. Who knows? But I've got that one, and then I also have a book that, despite the fact that I haven't read it, I've already pretty much destroyed it. So it is Quite Ugly One Morning by Christopher Brookmere, or Brookmire. You might be able to see the massive tea stain on it, the hair dye on it. This was my bathroom book. Basically, I have a stack of books that I keep next to the bath, so that if I happen to finish a book whilst I'm in the bath, I don't have to get out of the bath to then go and find another book to read. It makes perfect sense in my head, except you end up using said books as, like, to keep my tea on, so the cup of tea that I have in the bath, and obviously when I'm dyeing my hair in the bathroom, it then ends up getting covered in hair dye. And yeah, let's just say this one will not be making it to the charity shop because of how wrecked it is already. But once again, it's just a book that I've had for ages, and it's an author that I haven't read, so I thought, let's put it on my list and see. So that's it. They're the books I'm going to try and get through in May. You will be seeing more videos now that I actually have the facility to film videos again, and given how many books I have read in April, meaning I've got a lot of reviews to film, I may end up upping how often I post to the channel. We'll have to see how quickly I get through some of the editing, because yeah, that's kind of where it would slow down. But I'm sure we will see. Yeah, that's it. That is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 books that I'm going to try and read in May. Yeah, let me know down below if you've read any of those, and sorry that this is a rambling, possibly incoherent mess of a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!